Okay, so you guys really threw us for a loop this time with this book, diving deep into 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos by Jordan B. Peterson. Huh?
Yeah, it's quite the read, isn't it?
I mean, talk about a whirlwind. Philosophy, psychology, even biblical interpretation. It's dense.
It's definitely not light reading.
No, not at all. But hey, that's why we're here.
Exact.
To break down those big ideas, those potentially life-changing concepts into something, well, digestible.
Absolutely. Make it relatable. Make it usable.
And even just from the introduction, you can tell Peterson is not your typical academic.
That's for sure.
I mean, he was a professor at Harvard.
Right.
But the way he communicates, it's very unfiltered.
Yeah, you can tell he's not afraid to ruffle some feathers.
He seems to really enjoy a good debate, being challenged.
Absolutely.
Which is refreshing.
Yeah.
But at the core of it, he seems to be saying, we all need to learn to deal with the unknown, to move from chaos to order.
Yeah, regardless of our background.
Right. Now, reading through all this, what really jumped out at you? What about Peterson's approach did you find particularly interesting?
You know, one thing that struck me is how he connects those seemingly simple actions to these deeper psychological, even biological principles.
Yeah.
He doesn't just tell you what to do. He explains why it matters, you know?
Okay, I like that.
Take the first rule, for example. Stand up straight with your shoulders back.
Right.
Sounds pretty simple.
Yeah, it almost sounds too simple, like something your mom might tell you.
Exactly.
But knowing Peterson, there's got to be more to it. What's the problem he sees in people that this rule addresses?
Well, he sees a lot of people exhibiting poor posture. And he connects that to lack of confidence, like a defeated attitude, you know, but then he goes deeper.
Deeper.
Yeah, he makes this fascinating comparison to lobsters.
Lobsters. Okay, now you've got my attention.
It's unexpected, right?
Yeah.
But it makes such a powerful point. So Peterson explains lobsters, like humans, they have social hierarchies. And the dominant lobsters, those at the top, have higher levels of serotonin.
Serotonin, the happy chemical.
Exactly. Associated with confidence, well-being, and guess what? These dominant lobsters have a very distinct posture. Yeah. Upright, assertive.
So he's suggesting a link between posture and serotonin levels.
Yeah.
Even in humans.
Exactly. When we slouch, avoid eye contact, generally shrink back, we're mimicking the posture of those lower-ranking lobsters.
Oh, interesting.
And this can actually lower our serotonin levels, leading to decreased confidence, increased anxiety, and even attracting negative attention.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. So it's not just about looking confident, it's about actually changing our brain chemistry, maybe even impacting how others perceive us and treat us.
Right.
Does Peterson give any examples of this?
He talks about the problem of bullying, for example.
Okay.
He argues that people who exhibit that submissive posture are more likely to be targets.
Interesting.
And the effects can linger even after the bullying stopped.
So it's like a vicious cycle. Poor posture, less confidence, more vulnerable to bullying, and that just further erodes your confidence.
Exactly. It can be a real downward spiral.
So how do we break that cycle? What does Peterson say we should actually do about it?
Well, he encourages us to consciously work on improving our posture. Simple practice, but profound impact.
Okay.
He says when you deliberately stand up straight, shoulders back, it's almost like a physical manifestation of taking responsibility, you know?
Yeah.
It signals to the world and to yourself that you're ready to face life's challenges.
It's almost like that fake it till you make it idea, but with a scientific basis.
Right, exactly.
You're not just faking confidence, you're triggering those neurochemical changes.
Yeah, you're setting off a cascade of positive effects, potentially.
And that can lead to, well, genuine feelings of empowerment.
Absolutely.
So, rule number 1, you want to change your life. Start with your posture.
Simple, but powerful.
I love it. It's actionable.
Yeah.
It's based on some pretty fascinating science.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next on Peterson's list of life rules?
Well, Rule 4 tackles another really common problem, that constant comparison trap. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today.
Oh, the comparison game. I think we all fall into that trap. Especially today with social media, it's so easy to get caught up in what others are doing, what they have, what they've achieved. It can be really disheartening.
It is, and Peterson is very clear about the problem with this kind of comparison.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally unhelpful. It can actually hinder our personal growth.
Because it takes the focus off of our own unique path, right?
Exactly. We're all on our own journeys with our own strengths, weaknesses, challenges.
Comparing ourselves to others, it's like comparing apples and oranges.
It just doesn't make sense.
Not a fair or accurate assessment at all.
And it can lead to those feelings of inadequacy, envy, resentment. Instead, Peterson encourages us to shift the focus inward, concentrate on self-improvement. He suggests we see ourselves as a stranger we need to get to know.
That's an interesting way to put it. Like, approach yourself with that sense of curiosity and openness, as if you're meeting someone new.
Exactly. Ask yourself, what do I genuinely want? What are my values? What are my limitations? What brings me joy? He stresses honesty with ourselves about what we truly desire, rather than what we think we should want or what others expect of us.
So important. Aligning our actions with our authentic selves, not some external standard. But how do we put this into practice? How do we break free from that comparison game and really focus on our own personal growth?
Well, Peterson emphasizes the importance of setting personal goals, those goals that are meaningful to you. He talks about negotiating fairly with yourself, not being a tyrant to your own nature. It's about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing yourself to grow, but also respecting your needs and limitations.
Makes sense. So instead of getting bogged down and comparing ourselves to others, we should be asking, am I better than I was yesterday? Am I moving in the right direction for me?
That's the question. It's about celebrating our own progress, no matter how small, and focusing on our individual growth trajectory. And that actually leads us to another one of Peterson's rules that I found really resonated with me. Rule 6. Set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world.
Ah, yes. That's a classic. It's so easy to fall into the trap of criticizing external factors, blaming others for our problems,
Right.
without first looking in the mirror.
It's true. And Peterson really highlights this common problem. He emphasizes personal responsibility as a foundation for any kind of meaningful change. He says before we try to fix the world, we need to focus on getting our own lives in order.
It's like putting your own oxygen mask on first. You can't help others if you're struggling to breathe yourself. But what does it actually mean to set our house in order? What does that look like practically?
He uses a very concrete analogy. Find something in your home that bothers you, something you could fix, and fix it.
So something as simple as cleaning a messy room.
Or finally fixing that leaky faucet you've been ignoring.
Oh yeah, we've all got those.
It's about taking action, even in seemingly insignificant areas. He argues that these small acts of order creation can have a ripple effect.
Okay, I like that.
It builds momentum and confidence to tackle bigger challenges. And it's not just our physical environment either. Peterson emphasizes we need to pay attention to our psychological house as well.
So that could be addressing negative thought patterns.
Right. Setting healthy boundaries in relationships.
Finally dealing with those emotional issues we've been sweeping under the rug.
Exactly. Taking ownership of our inner world as well as our outer world.
Powerful idea. It's like Peterson saying that true change starts from within. By creating order in our own lives, we not only create a more stable and fulfilling existence for ourselves, but we also lay the groundwork for making a positive impact on the world around us.
I love that. Okay, we're moving right along. What's the next rule on Peterson's list?
Well, rule number 8 tackles a topic that's incredibly simple and incredibly complex at the same time. Honesty. Tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Honesty. Such a foundational principle, but in practice, it can be so challenging. We've all told little white lies, maybe even bigger ones, and it's so easy to justify them in the moment.
It is.
But Peterson seems to be suggesting that even those seemingly harmless deceptions can have a real impact.
Yeah, he really digs into the problem of lying, explaining that even those small lies, they erode trust. They can complicate relationships and ultimately hinder personal growth and authenticity.
Right.
He argues that honesty, even when it's tough, is essential for building a solid sense of self and having genuine connections with others.
It's like that saying, oh, what a tangled web we weave, when first we practice to deceive.
Exactly. One lie often leads to another, and before you know it, you're caught in this web of deception.
Right, right. And Peterson points out that lying, even to ourselves, it creates that disconnect between who we are and who we pretend to be. And that inauthenticity, it can lead to all sorts of negative feelings. Shame, guilt, anxiety.
Absolutely. It can really mess with your sense of self.
And it can make it hard to trust our own judgment. Make decisions that are really in our best interest.
Right, because you're constantly second-guessing yourself, wondering if you're being honest with yourself.
So it's not just about being truthful with others, it's also about being truthful with ourselves. Oof, that can be even harder.
It can be, yeah.
But Peterson encourages us to confront our own self-deceptions, be brutally honest about our motivations and behaviors, even when it's painful.
He does. And he argues that this radical honesty with ourselves, that's the foundation for real self-growth and a truly authentic life.
Makes sense. But what about those situations where telling the truth might hurt someone else's feelings or where it might put us at risk? There are times when honesty seems like it might do more harm than good. Does
Right.
Peterson address that at all?
He does acknowledge that there are times when complete, unfiltered honesty might not be the most compassionate or strategic approach. He doesn't advocate for being blunt or insensitive, but he argues that even in those situations, we can strive to be truthful in spirit. Find ways to communicate our needs and perspectives without resorting to outright lies or manipulation.
So it's about finding that balance between honesty and compassion,
Exactly.
between being truthful and being tactful. Sounds like a delicate dance.
It can be, yeah. But Peterson believes the more we practice honesty, the better we become at navigating those complex situations.
Okay.
We develop a stronger sense of self, a greater capacity for empathy, and the ability to communicate more effectively.
So it's like building a muscle of integrity. The more we exercise it, the stronger it becomes.
A perfect analogy.
And that integrity, that commitment to truthfulness, it becomes the foundation for building trust, forming deeper connections, and living a life that feels aligned with our values.
It really does. It's the bedrock of a meaningful life.
Powerful stuff. And I think that's something we all strive for, even if we fall short sometimes. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground already. What else is on Peterson's agenda for a meaningful life?
Well, next we'll delve into Peterson's thoughts on communication and the importance of precision in our words.
Okay, that sounds intriguing.
And then we'll tackle 2 rules that seem lighthearted on the surface but carry profound implications for personal growth and relationships.
All right, I'm definitely curious to hear more.
Let's dive in. So Peterson, he believes that clear, precise communication, that's crucial for navigating life's complexities.
Okay.
In fact, his Rule 10, it states, be precise in your speech.
That's so relevant today, don't you think? I mean, we're just bombarded with information from every direction. Communication can feel so chaotic. It seems like a lot of those misunderstandings, conflicts, stem from a lack of clarity, how we express ourselves. So what's the problem that Peterson sees with imprecise language?
Well, he argues that imprecise language, it can lead to, confusion, misunderstandings, even unnecessary suffering.
Oh, wow.
He uses the example of people who complain vaguely about feeling unhappy, but they can't pinpoint the source of their unhappiness.
Right.
That lack of clarity makes it almost impossible to address the problem effectively.
It's like trying to solve a math problem without knowing the equation.
Right. Exactly. You need those specifics, those details, to find the solution.
So how do we become more precise in our communication? What are some practical steps we can take?
Well, Peterson suggests, paying close attention to the words we use, making sure they accurately reflect our thoughts and feelings.
Okay, yeah.
He encourages us to define our terms, avoid that vague or ambiguous language, be willing to ask clarifying questions when we're not sure what someone means.
So it's about being mindful of the power of language.
Absolutely.
Using it with intention.
Instead of just saying, I'm unhappy, we could say, I'm feeling frustrated because I haven't been able to make progress on this project.
Right. That level of specificity helps, makes it easier to understand the problem, brainstorm solutions.
Exactly. And it's not just about speaking precisely, it's also about listening carefully. Peterson, he emphasizes, don't just wait for your turn to speak, but actively listen to what the other person's saying. He even suggests, summarizing what you've heard to make sure you understand correctly, asking those follow-up questions to clarify any points that are unclear.
So it's about a genuine dialogue, not just talking at each other.
Right, exactly.
And that's something we can practice in all our interaction.
Absolutely.
From casual conversations to those important meetings.
He even encourages us to be more precise in our self-talk.
Oh, interesting.
Instead of using that vague or negative language when we're thinking about ourselves or our goals, replace those thoughts with more specific and constructive statements.
So instead of thinking I'm a failure, we might say, I made a mistake on that project, but I learned from it, and I'll do better next time.
Exactly. You're being your own best advocate, using language to empower yourself.
I like that. So he argues that by practicing precision in all areas of our lives, we can cultivate greater clarity, understanding, effectiveness in everything we do.
Right. It's like sharpening a tool.
The more precise the instrument, the more effective it is at the task.
Ah.
Okay, I'm really enjoying how Peterson weaves together these practical tips with those deeper philosophical insights. What else does he have for us?
Well, the next 2 rules are interesting because on the surface, they seem almost lighthearted, whimsical even.
Okay.
But as with everything Peterson writes, there's a deeper meaning there.
All right, now you've got me intrigued. What are these seemingly lighthearted rules?
So Rule 11, it states, do not bother children when they are skateboarding.
Skateboarding, okay, that does seem a bit out of left field.
Oh,
What's the deeper message here? Is Peterson secretly a skater?
maybe. Who knows? But he uses skateboarding as a metaphor for allowing young people to take risks, explore their limits, develop competence and resilience through those challenging activities.
So it's not literally about skateboarding, it's about giving young people the space to grow and learn, even if it means they might fall down, make mistakes along the way.
Exactly. He argues that by constantly hovering over children, trying to protect them from every bump and bruise, we're actually hindering their development.
Makes sense.
He believes that children need to experience a certain level of risk and challenge in order to develop confidence, independence, a sense of mastery.
They need to learn to fall down and get back up again.
Exactly.
It's about letting go of that need to control and trusting that young people have the capacity to navigate their own challenges. It reminds me of that quote, "Prepare the child for the road, not the road for the child."
That's a perfect analogy, and it applies not just to parenting, but to any relationship where we might be tempted to overprotect or control someone else's experience. It's about recognizing the importance of allowing others to make their own choices, even if it means they might make mistakes.
That can be tough, but it's so essential for healthy relationships, empowering others to reach their full potential. Okay, what about that other lighthearted rule you mentioned?
All right, so Rule 12 is pet a cat when you encounter one on the street.
Pet a cat. Okay, I'm really curious now. What profound wisdom could possibly be hidden in this seemingly simple act?
Well, Peterson uses cats, you see, as a metaphor
Okay.
for embracing the unexpected,
Okay.
being open to experiences that might seem random or insignificant at first.
Interesting.
He argues that cats, with their independent nature and often unpredictable behavior, they can teach us valuable lessons
Like what?
about letting go of our need to control,
Okay.
appreciating the beauty in the mundane, finding joy in the unexpected.
It's like a reminder to be present in the moment, to notice those small, delightful occurrences that can brighten our day, not be so focused on our to-do lists and worries that we miss out on the magic of the everyday.
Exactly. He suggests that by being open to these seemingly small and insignificant encounters, we can expand our perspective, increase our capacity for joy, and ultimately live a richer, more meaningful life.
I love that. It's a reminder that sometimes those most profound experiences, they come from those unexpected moments that catch us off guard. And who knows, maybe that cat you pet on the street will end up being your new best friend.
You never know. That's part of the beauty of life, isn't it? Embracing the unknown, being open to the possibilities.
Absolutely. So we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From lobsters to skateboarding to petting cats, Peterson offers this really unique blend of scientific insights, philosophical musings, and practical advice. What did you think?
Yeah, it really is. Life's full of those surprises, and those unexpected moments, they can often lead to the most profound discoveries.
Like they say, the best things in life are free. Right? We don't always have to be out searching for grand adventures to find meaning, fulfillment.
Exactly. Sometimes it's those simple, everyday encounters that really make all the difference.
And I think that's one of the key takeaways from Peterson's 12 rules for life, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
It's not about following some rigid set of instructions. It's about cultivating a mindset, a way of being in the world that's open, engaged, intentional.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. It's about, taking responsibility for our lives,
Right.
Striving to become the best versions of ourselves and finding that meaning, that purpose, even amidst, the inevitable challenges and chaos.
The chaos of human existence.
Exactly.
That's a great summary. And it's not just about personal growth either. Peterson argues that these individual efforts, when combined, they can actually create a ripple effect, extending outward,
Yeah.
impacting our relationships, communities, even the world at large.
He does. It's like, how's that saying go? A rising tide lifts all boats.
Oh, I like that.
When we focus on improving ourselves, living with integrity and purpose, we create a more positive, supportive environment for everyone around us.
Exactly. And it's not about striving for some unattainable ideal of perfection either. Peterson acknowledges that life is inherently difficult. Suffering is inevitable. It's part of the human experience.
It is.
But he suggests that by embracing those challenges, by choosing to, stand up straight, tell the truth, set our own houses in order, that's how we find that deeper sense of purpose and satisfaction.
Yeah. It's about finding the meaning in the striving,
Right.
in facing our limitations, and in the pursuit of something greater than ourselves.
Absolutely. And it's not a destination, it's a journey. This ongoing process of growth, learning, adaptation. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from lobster hierarchies to skateboarding metaphors to the simple act of petting a cat.
Yeah, we have. Quite a journey.
Peterson offers this really unique blend of scientific insight, philosophical musings, practical advice. It's been fascinating.
It really has. He's a really thought-provoking writer, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And even though we've touched on all 12 rules, it feels like we've only scratched the surface. There's so much depth and nuance to his work.
There really is, yeah.
And I encourage you, dear listener, to continue your own exploration of 12 rules for life. See what resonates with you, challenge the ideas that don't, and just consider how these rules might help you navigate your own life, all the complexities.
Yeah, it's an invitation to embark on that journey of self-discovery, to grapple with the big questions, and ultimately create a life that is both meaningful and fulfilling.
And who knows, you might even find yourself petting a few more cats along the way.
And you never know.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep striving to become the best version of yourself.